Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. This is a good Thursday. All in all, just a pretty dang good day. Tomorrow, we got SmackDown. And SmackDown is going to have two big Money in the Bank qualifiers. These three-way matches, I think that they've really hit the nail on the head. I think almost every single match this year for the Money in the Bank qualifiers has been a really, really good match where there really hasn't been anybody that's just been like, that person's going to win. That's the person that you hope is going to win. I really thought that Sami Zayn was going to pull out a win on Monday. I fully believed in it to the point to where when Seth Rollins won, I kicked that little thing that's not connected to the couch, like the ottoman thing. I kicked it, and I was pissed because I thought I had all the booking power in WWE, I guess. I don't know. But I think Money in the Bank is going to be awesome. This upcoming SmackDown that's going to be on Friday, we got Fatu, we got Andrade, and we got Carmelo, all in a three-way. I love all three of these guys. Honestly, when it comes down to it, Carmelo Hayes, I think he's one of the best blue chippers that WWE has. I'm to the point where I'm a little bit scared that he's been on the main roster for a while and they haven't really used him to his ability. I thought he was going to be Intercontinental Champion on the main roster in no time. And we, as of right now, are nowhere close to that. And I'm a little bit scared. Throw this in because I'm not going to make my own video about this. SmackDown, 3 hours, not going away. I honestly thought that Triple H had basically said in one of his calls or announcements, I thought this came out of Triple H's mouth, that they were just coming down to a date when the 3-hour SmackDowns on USA were going to come to an end. Monday Night Raw, 2.5 hours. It is awesome. I mean, it is beyond the point of cool. When it was running 2 hours on USA before it moved over to Netflix, those were really, really cool, and I guess they got the tip that they needed just a little bit more. But I can't think, besides for the very first edition of Netflix Raw, where Raw has gone over the 2.5 hour mark and had to go into an overrun. 3 hours of SmackDown is honestly just too damn long. We've been making these videos, talking about SmackDown, talking about Raw, talking about just a 3-hour edition of Raw for well over 10 years. I want to say 2012, 2013 is when the Raw Super Show first started going, and it was just seen like, when we would get a 3-hour special Raw, it was like, damn, this is cool, we get an extra hour of Raw. But once it became mandatory, and each and every week, it's been like, eh. And I'll tell you, a few weeks, I've gotten, into watching SmackDown, and all of a sudden the show didn't end. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm not hanging around. 2 hours, damn good. It's more than enough time for a Friday night wrestling show. But now, back on the topic. Andrade, he was a guy that when he first came on my radar in NXT, that guy was awesome. And then they did the Superstar Shake-Up, I think is what they called it back in the day, where they were moving people around. It was like the new way of saying WWE Draft. And Andrade got moved up to SmackDown. I want to say this was like 2016, 2017. I was like, this is awesome. This is the guy. I for sure thought that he was going to be main eventing SmackDown, World Heavyweight Championship matches within a year. And boy, was I wrong. Well, when he got his release from WWE, he asked for it. He showed up in AEW. I thought, this is going to be awesome. And then I think he was with like Vicky Guerrero, Chavo Guerrero, and I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. And, he tried it all in AEW for as long as he really could. When he got Roosh for his partner, his little, I'm not sure if they were a tag team or a stable or what you really want to call it. I was like, this is going to work. This is going to be awesome. Next thing you know, he got his release, and he was back in WWE. And I was like, hey, now him and Charlotte are back together. This is going to be awesome. Next thing you know, word comes out that I guess they got divorced and they're not together anymore. They're still on the same show. They must still love each other, like each other, want to see each other, on to bigger and better things in their lives. So, okay, we'll keep going with it. But he's a guy that I like. He's not a guy that I'm giving up on. I don't think that he would get his release from AEW to go back to WWE to just be the job guy for a lifetime. Someday, sometime, Triple H has to remember how good this guy was in NXT and use him to his ability. Look over, Johnny Gargano, I guess he's going to be a tag team guy. It's working. They're using him to the best of his ability. But the star of this match has to be Jacob Fatu, your United States champion. There was a lot of people a couple of weeks ago when Solo Sikoa qualified for the Money in the Bank, and people were like, what the hell are they doing? I saw one of my own friends tweet out that this guy had no part. I love Solo. I saw clips of Solo in NXT when he won the North American Championship down there, and he was like giving promos, and he actually talked. He was barking at people. He was looking for a fight, and it almost was the same name but a different character. And I don't know. I still see some of that in him. I don't think that they put him with the Bloodline, basically, making him look like the muscle of a group for 2 years to just never do anything with them. I believe it's in there. I believe he's got it. But I guess the story that we're finally going to get to is another Bloodline match. Whether that's going to be SummerSlam, whether that's going to be somewhere. So Jacob Fatu has to win this match. And looking at the men in there, I as of right now, it looks like Seth Rollins is going to be your favorite, especially with the storyline that he's got running on Monday Night Raw. Jacob Fatu getting in there, he easily could be like your number 2. If Seth doesn't win it, Jacob has to do it. But I can see like the story of this match being like, the Bloodline working together, even though it doesn't really look like Jacob wants to be hanging out with Jeff Cobb and Solo Sikoa that much. But he's just kind of going with the flow because that's what he was doing before. And the whole story is going to be which one of these guys is going to be getting up there. It was like when Jacob Fatu first won the United States Championship, and Solo was doing the talking for him, and he was basically saying that if anybody deserves a shot at the United States Championship, and you were like just figuring that he was going to say him, because he wanted the glory, he wanted the spotlight, he wanted the light shining on him, not on Jacob. But everybody loves Jacob. I think that where we're getting to is them finally fighting each other to see who gets to climb the ladder, who gets to grab the briefcase. Why is Jacob Fatu not saying I love you Solo anymore? I think we're getting down to, in my mind, SummerSlam, Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa, and then probably Solo stealing that United States Championship from Jacob Fatu in some dastardly way, whether that's another Bloodline member coming to help Solo screw Jacob, build his group up more, and then be built around him as the real leader of a group that actually wins matches, unlike, the group when it was him, Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu, and just Solo just couldn't do anything right. I think he's going to learn from that. He's going to find his way to be a true leader of a group, be menacing, run SmackDown, and just go from there. So how we get there is Jacob Fatu winning on SmackDown.